What's going on, guys? So Morigesh comes out today. Now it's exciting. There's quite a bit to understand about her as far as how to effectively use her. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna go through a quick little character overview, explain the actual abilities to you, and then from there I'm gonna give you a recommended build so you guys can destroy once this character is in your hands. Here we go. All right, first and foremost, we're going to be going over her abilities. Starting off with her passive. Now, her passive states, damage from abilities apply stacks of poison, which deal bonus energy damage over time. Does scale with energy power. Subsequent ability damage refreshes that duration. Long story short, if you hit him with an ability, you're gonna apply poison, which does damage over time, and it gets stronger as you build more power. So key thing is, we gotta build that power, of course. Now, moving on forward here towards her Q, her Pestilence. Morigesh blows a swarm of insects forward in a cone, dealing energy damage on all the targets hit. Damage is increased on marked targets. What does that mean? We'll get to that one in just a moment. But just know this is a triangle area ability that you simply just cast it. She throws bugs at people essentially and does damage. Her E, Swarm. Now, on her E, gain movement speed, slow resistance, and ghosting. You're going to be able to go through minions. You're going to be able to get that increased movement speed. Now, you're going to deal energy damage to units that you pass through. So any unit, that means it could be an enemy, it could be in just minions. If you walk through the minions, you do damage to the minions. You do damage to whatever you go through. That's an actual, like a character or a unit. But you also heal for each passive stack on the target's hit. So again, be mindful whenever you hit somebody with an ability, you're going to apply stacks. For example, let's say you hit them with the cone of those bugs that we just talked a moment ago. As soon as you hit them with the cones, that's going to apply stacks. You get me? And then you pop your E and run through them, you get healed based off of how many stacks you've acquired. That could be a very useful thing. You want to use this E more as either an escape, because you can run through minions, you can run through your enemies, they can't body block you if you use that, but simultaneously try to be clever about it. Let's say you start a fight, you spam all your abilities, you're there, it's not going your favor, you gotta bounce, use that E to go through your enemy, that you just use all your abilities on that enemy. So you're gonna have all those stacks build, run through them, you heal as you escape. Be smart about that one. Now, as well, it does say damaging a marked target refreshes the duration. Now, the healing is actually tripled when you hit an enemy hero, but damaging a marked target refreshes the duration. That means if you mark somebody and so let me see if I can put it to you this way. If you mark somebody and then you dash through them, let's say you dash through two people, right? But as soon as you dash through a marked target, it's going to refresh the duration. It's basically going to restart it. You now have the extra movement speed time and all that. So that's a little bit tricky of wording there, and it's a little bit tricky to kind of go through, and it's going to be very, very situational. Just be mindful that if you have a marked target, you want to make sure that you hit that marked target last on your way out. Sometimes that's not going to be the case, but if you do that, it might actually extend your escape potential or even your chase potential. You never know. Now, your right mouse button is going to be your mark. Morigesh selects an enemy hero within range, dealing energy damage. Her doll takes the shape of the hero and marks them. Now, cool thing about Morigesh is she's always carrying a doll on her back, on her holster, or whatever you want to call it. Now, as soon as you mark somebody, that person, now you're going to see that skin is going to be, you're literally going to be carrying a little doll of that character. Now, why is that important? You got to think back on the things that we were talking about earlier. You do more damage on marked targets with your Q. your E refreshes when you hit a marked target. You get what I'm saying? So you got to be mindful. As soon as you mark somebody low key, you are bullying that person that you marked. And that's what you got to kind of focus on. Everything that you do has to go towards that marked target, because you're essentially getting extra damage towards that one individual. Now, your ultimate, the curse, Morigesh is going to take out her doll. She's going to kneel down and stab it, dealing energy damage to her marked target anywhere they are on the map. And here's what I need you guys to notice too. That ultimate, I saw a lot of people complain, it's like, oh, that ultimate doesn't do as much damage as this or is that. You got to be mindful. It's not the fact that this is going to be the hardest hitting ultimate. This isn't going to hurt as much, maybe let's say as a Bellica ultimate, for example. But the key thing is, you do not have to be next to this person. If you mark this person and this person effectively escaped, or let's say it's a Kalari and that Kalari effectively escaped, they were marked. If you know they're low enough, you pop that ultimate. It doesn't matter where they are on the map. They could be all the way like by their inhibitors. They could be all like, you know, like 100 feet away, whatever it may be. As long as they are marked, you can cast this ultimate. You do not cast this ultimate as like, hey, I'm about to take half of your health bar. But if they are below a fourth with the proper build, you could easily delete somebody. Now, let's go ahead and get into the build in its own, what I am going to recommend as far as these items. Now, as far as these items, first, let's start off with the aspects themselves. Now, as far as aspects, I am going to recommend first Magician. Why? Magician is going to give you permanent gain of missing mana regen per second, or a percentage of it. Long story short, as long as you have Magician, you don't run out of mana. Now, effect number 2, damaging an enemy with an ability reduces the cooldown of your ultimate by 2 seconds. Why is this important? You're going to be able to spam a lot of these abilities, especially on your marked target. Once you're consistently spamming all these abilities on that marked target, your ultimate is going to come in clutch. Now, let's say, for example, you popped your ultimate, didn't work, you didn't get a kill, or let's say you did get the kill, who knows, a team fight ensues. By going through that team fight, who knows, you might have been able to shave off a good 10-20 seconds of that ultimate. That might be another kill that you can secure if somebody gets away. You got to be mindful. This ultimate on Morigesh is going to be incredibly clutch, especially for getting fed, but you have to make sure that your target is marked. If not, it's kind of a waste. Now, moving forward, now, for the second aspect, I'm actually going to recommend Warlock, because effect number 1, every 4th ability deals 20% extra damage. Why is this important? On the bottom left-hand side of your screen, right above your character picture, you can actually see the countdown where it's 4 little squares, and it's like you cast an ability, the first one gets lit up. Cast an ability, second one gets lit up. On the 4th ability, time that with your ultimate if possible. Make that ultimate do 20% extra. If you can do that, you can successfully apply this Dukem Nukem build, which is kind of what I like to call my nuke builds, right? And then effect number 2 is hero kills increase your movement speed by 35% for 3 seconds. So if you kill somebody, you got extra movement speed for 3 seconds. But then you also have a movement speed ability. Nobody's going to be able to run away from you, or worst comes to worst, you can get a kill and get out as fast as possible, because nobody will be able to catch you with the extra movement speed and your ability. Now let's go ahead and go into the items first. Now, my order of items that I typically choose, it really does depend on the character and the playstyle that I go for that character. Now, for example, I'm going to start with Apocalyptic Epitome. Apocalyptic Epitome is going to give us 75 energy power, which is perfect because Morigesh scales on energy power. Now, every point of favor that we invest into the blue, which you can do that at the top of your item store by clicking on the plus blue sign, every point of favor that you invest into blue is going to make this item stronger by 1 energy power per favor. Not only that, You're going to get 15 energy penetration. You're going to get 200 health, a little bit of sustainability. Not bad, but the passive abilities gain an additional 20% damage to targets under 40% health. So let's be mindful. You're using that ultimate whenever you're getting ready to execute somebody. But now if you timed it right, you got an extra 20% from Warlock aspect, and now you got an extra 20% damage from Apocalyptic Epitome. That's 40% damage, and all you had to do was ult them while they were low and make sure it's the 4th cast. You get what I'm saying? Your ultimate could be way stronger off rip with only one item. Once we get this item on the board though, we gotta start thinking about our movement speed. Now, here's the thing. I've heard a lot of people say she has a movement ability. You don't have to build movement on her. Regardless, movement is so key in this game. I'm going to build it to item number 2 anyway, with the main reason that the Warlock Wares, our second item, is going to give us not only 100 movement speed, but 50 energy penetration. Now that means that our ultimate, all our abilities, they're going to be hurting more, and we got our mobility. Moving forward, I'm actually going to go straight into Arcane Amplifier. Why? Because Arcane Amplifier is going to give us a huge power spike. Actually, we're adding 125 energy power. Now, per favor, this item will actually give us 1 power per favor that you invest into blue. So now you got 2 items giving you 1 power per favor. So that means if I invest 3 favors into blue, from these 2 items, I'm now getting 6 extra damage because it is individual per item. Not just that, Amplify, increase bonus energy power by 30%. So that means the energy power that you're building gets increased by another 30%. Now be mindful, we already have 20% extra damage off of Warlock. If you cast it on the 4th ability, we have 20% extra damage if they're below 40% health from Apocalyptic Epitome. And now all the energy power that we build is going to be increased by 30% as the game goes on. That's a huge power spike. Moving forward, we're gonna go into Warlock Aegis. Now, Warlock Aegis, it's going to be both an offense and a defensive card. Warlock Aegis is going to give us 75 energy power, plus 1 power per favor. I'm going to sound repetitive as hell. That simply means the more favor we get and invest into blue, the more power we get. The more power we build, the more the Arcane Amplifier amplifies that power, the more your ultimate is going to hurt. Now, moving forward, Warlock Aegis is also going to give us 10% cooldown reduction. 10% cooldown reduction is huge. Now, moving forward as well, it's going to give us 60 energy armor. Now, the 60 energy armor, that's basically going to be so you can almost essentially not get fully bursted by an enemy mage or anybody that's doing ability damage like that. If somebody comes up to you and casts a whole bunch of abilities, it'll help you mitigate some of that damage while you're still able to deal plenty of damage. While also the passive, it grants a spell shield that blocks the next enemy hero ability, item effect, or monster ability. This shield refreshes after 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, you're going to have a little bubble spawn. It cancels a full ability. If you're going up against another Morigesh, that bubble could be the difference between you living or dying. As far as getting hit by an ability, that's going to save you quite a bit, just the bubble alone. And then on top of that, the fact that you have the energy armor. The energy armor is going to help you from getting bursted from ability damage heroes. Now, moving forward here, I'm going to go into Warlock Opus. Now, Warlock Opus is going to give us 80 energy power, plus 1 power per favor. Again, there's a reason why I'm picking these items specifically. We're getting 1 power per favor. This is how we maximize that Arcane Amplifier and get more damage as we go along. The passive for Warlock's Opus is going to be Pierce. You get 35% energy armor penetration. So not only do you have a flat 15 energy penetration from the boots, but now Warlock Opus is going to give us 35% energy armor penetration. There is a difference between those two. The percentage means whatever they're building as armor, that you take a percent of that off. So 35% of the enemy's energy armor gets removed. That's going to be huge. Your abilities are going to do more damage, specifically your ultimate. Don't forget, cast it as your 4th one, you get the increased damage. Cast it when they're below 40%, you get an extra increased 20% on top of all the damage that we're already building. Now, the last item that we're actually going to build on here is going to be Cursed Remnant. Now, as far as Cursed Remnant goes, I actually had quite a bit of debate on this. There were a lot of people that were like, oh, well, why don't you build this item? Why don't you build that item? Quite frankly, it just comes down for me to the end result of the build and the purpose of it, because again, Cursed Remnant is going to give us an 80 energy power +1 per favor, which means again, Arcane Amplifier is getting even stronger. The effect is applying even more. We're going to get another 10 flat energy penetration, another 10% cooldown reduction, 300 health, a little bit of sustain, that's not bad. And every time that you apply land an ability on somebody, you will apply trauma, which means their healing is reduced by 50% from all sources. If they got a Narbash, if they got a photosynthetic symbiote, whatever it may be, whatever sort of healing somebody has, as long as you're hitting them with an ability, for the next 4 seconds, their healing is reduced, which means that you can successfully land that ultimate as fast as possible. What people are going to try to do, as soon as you hit them with an ability, they're going to try and use a health pot. They're going to try and use a miracle, something. This is going to make sure that it's not as effective on them and you land that ultimate. Quite frankly, guys, this entire build is all about building that energy power, but specifically having energy favors converted into energy power, which makes our Arcane Amplifier even stronger. This is going to be a nukem build. You're easily going to be able to destroy people with your ultimate once this build is on. You're going to be surprised how much damage this is actually doing, because we're stacking all these different effects on top of each other, but we're using them properly. That's the thing about it. Now, besides that, guys, that was it. Hope you guys liked the build. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hope you leave a like. Help a brother out for the YouTube algorithm. But I will say this. If you guys want to know any of my builds, I do post them in my Discord first, always. I encourage you guys, join the Discord. Be part of the family. We almost got 2,000 members in there already. I post all of my builds there first, and then sometimes I'll make a YouTube video about them, depending on whether it may be. But if anything, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support, and as always, till the next video.